1 month has passed since what came to be known as the Eternal Night Incident. As usual, everyone's cooped up in the Hakure Shrine. And by everyone, I mean the human members of each team. We've got Reimu, Marisa, and Sakuya, like in Perfect Cherry Blossom. But we also have Yomu, and Kaguya for some reason. What's with final bosses and finding their way over to the shrine as if it's some sort of tradition? And for that matter, where's 18? Anyway, all of them are bored because they expected something else to happen as a result of solving the incident, but nothing did. 18's charm is dispelled and the Lunarians still can't do anything about the border, so nothing's happening. Just then Kaguya comes up with an idea. Since you're so bored, how about a Kimodameshi in the bamboo forest? That is, a test of courage. You can sort of equate it to a trip to a haunted house or graveyard. It's fairly popular among the Japanese youth. Teams of 2, or 1 if you're daring enough, walk through a predetermined area at night and either recover a certain item or stay in that area for a specified amount of time. So they head back to the bamboo forest at 2 in the morning. Not exactly a controlled experience like tests of courage is supposed to be, but it's not like Kaguya cares. She has something else in mind. And that brings us to where we are now. Welcome to the extra stage of Imperishable Night. The full moon is said to drive humans insane, but you wouldn't be able to tell from the way the yokai are acting in this stage. Maybe they're working overtime to hunt down the crazy people that got lost in the forest. And why are the playable humans in this game unaffected? I don't know. Oh look, Kane is here! On the full moon, no less. That's not oddly convenient for showing off a transformation, nope. Okay, so, Kane, I just flat out cannot fight Kane here. Her patterns are simply beyond my understanding. Not so much in literal sense though, it's more of like a gamer sense that I don't have anymore. You're supposed to dodge these bullets, but for some reason or another, I run right into them. So these spell cards are supposed to indicate Kane's alternate abilities of alternate history creation. I'm guessing she's trying to make a future in which the heroines don't ever see her, but she's forgotten one of the basics. Those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. There's only one exception though, and that's returning Bridge Ichijo handing me my ass on a silver platter. So, since this is the last video in the set, I figured I'd go over personal feelings on the game itself. Despite the whole thing with damn it Kane, I stopped having cryptic patterns for spell cards. This is one of my favorite Touhou games, if only for the reason that you can play as so many different characters. It's the only non-fighter where you can play directly as Alice or Romelia. Yomu doesn't get another traditional shooting role until 10 Desires, POFB doesn't count because that's a versus shooter, and Yuyuko can wreck everything with her death butterflies. I like games with variety, and this, along with the fighters, fits the bill pretty nicely. Except for Immaterial and Missing Power, because, I just don't like all that game. I just don't like that game all that much. And that's most likely my fault, because I played Scarlet Weather Rhapsody first and got used to that control scheme. It's doubly a shame because Suika made her debut in Immaterial. Oh well. It seems like, again, we've been left tons more questions than given answers. Mostly about 18. Who is she and how exactly does she know the things she does? She knows so much, she seems to know even more than Lunarians should. With the exception of the Endless Night incident, she hasn't ever come across an issue she hasn't resolved. Because of this, and because she's so closely related design-wise to Omoikane no Mikoto, there's this theory going around that she actually is Omoikane. Again, I'm going to dip into speculation, but around the beginning of Silent Sinner, 18 mentions that she has another name, one that's beyond human comprehension. Does this mean that only Lunarians can understand it? Or that only gods can understand it? Oh my god, Death Fairy! Crisis Jeez! Death Fairy, go away! Oh my god, look at all those bullets! Ah! Damn, that's a lot of bullets. How in the hell? Dodgeball, you gotta teach me how to do that. That's ridiculous. Okay, so after the Death Fairy, the heroines come across the true meaning of terror that Kaguya mentioned, and a few things come to light at the same time. One of those things being Kaguya playing us for fools by sending us to crush this person in front of us. 2, said person gets pissed off because Kaguya is still sending assassins while knowing 3, said person is also immortal, so assassinating her won't do anything. Yeah, we're facing an immortal. In other news, pants! Honest to goodness, pants! It's time for part 2 of the story of the bamboo cutter. Okay, this isn't actually a part of that tale, but in Touhou lore this is what happens immediately afterward. The Emperor sent a party to the summit of Mount Fuji to burn what remained of the Horai elixir. Little did they know that they were being stalked by a certain someone. This is that someone, Fujiwara no Moko. Going along with what the story tells us, back during the race for Kaguya Hime's hand in marriage, Moko's father was amongst the 5 suitors that found her. When told of the impossible requests, and when he was subsequently humiliated for not finding it, Moko sought a way to pay her back. And did she ever by trailing the group of people taking a jar full of the elixir to Mount Fuji. They didn't actually realize it was the elixir though, and neither did Moko. She just knew it was Kaguya's, and that was all the incentive she needed. Once they had all reached the summit, no easy feat for one of them, it must have taken like 2 or 3 days, they encountered a god by the name of Sakuya Hime, who warned them not to throw the jar away, for if they did, they would reactivate the volcano, which she was currently preventing from erupting. This implied she knew about the elixir. The leader of the group, named Iokasa, also knew about the elixir, but kept it a secret out of fear that they wouldn't get to Mount Fuji before someone ended up consuming it. And a secret it was, until Sakuya Hime blurted it out. And everyone was shocked. They were about to throw away a very valuable item. Perhaps too valuable. That shock eventually turned into spending the night atop the mountain, figuring out what to do, and Iokasa and Moko passed out due to exhaustion. When they awoke, everyone else was dead. It was not clear who did the killing, but they and Sakuya Hime were the only ones left. She then directed the two to another mountain that was once higher than even Mount Fuji, but on the way there, Moko stole the jar and kicked Iokasa as hard as she could off of the cliff, and the jar was hers. Needless to say, she didn't take long to drink it, and then she became an immortal just like Kaguya. Afterward, she spent 300 years in isolation because she didn't age. Then she spent the next 300 years in frustration, taking out any person or thing in her way. About that. It's not exactly described when or how Moko acquired her pyrokinetic abilities, though using the phoenix motif is probably the best expression for this, as it too is an immortal being of fire. That 300 years afterwards, she had lost the motivation to even bother with said obstacle. It's around this time, when she vanished from the public eye, that it is said she appeared in Gensokyo. Shortly after, she was able to find Kaguya, and for the first time in 900 years she found relief, for 2 reasons. 1, she would finally be able to exact her revenge on Kaguya, and 2, once she did, Moko found out that Kaguya also drank the elixir and came back to life after she was killed. This was the first in a series of back-and-forth murders spanning yet another 300 or 400 years, and it'll probably go on for all of eternity. Or at least until they tire of killing one another, and finding an alternate means of spending their endless time, although I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think I'd be happy with immortality either. I'd like to at least share it with someone close, if I had to, but personally I'd be even more happy to die of old age at around 700 or so, compared to being forcefully and indefinitely revived every time you die. Not to mention that in either case you'll be found out by the authorities and experimented on or something. In addition, you'd feel the pain of dying every time. Not very appealing. It's definitely more of a curse than a blessing, leaving everyone you know once they pass on, or once you pass on. Sour topic all of a sudden, I know. And that's not even touching on the fear of death on the other side of the spectrum. We'll get to that later. I still think despite all of this, Moko is one of the coolest characters in Touhou. It's definitely the pants and the phoenix. But hell, she's implied to have been nobility too! That makes the Scarlet Sisters, Yuyuko, Kaguya, and Moko. Why do I find myself liking the noble types? On a more serious note, her spell cards, along with the obvious theme of the phoenix, also have this undertone of forgiveness and regret. Or maybe I'm just looking at the names. Flaw of Forgiving Shrine, Honest Man's Death. Yeah. Perhaps because of this, she currently spends her days finding lost humans in the bamboo forest and guiding them back to the village. When you think about it, she could probably lead you to Aente too if she wanted. Keywords being, if she wanted, but it's definitely within her abilities, seeing as she seems to be immune to getting lost there. Eventually, she wants to climb the mountain that Sakuya Hime redirected her to and find a better way to atone for her sins. But if she's put it off for 1300 years or so, I doubt she's gonna do it tomorrow, you know? She also claims to run a yakitori stand, which no one's really seen her stand. It might just be a cover-up for whatever she does. Yakitori, by the way, is grilled chicken on a skewer, just so you know. And that is it for Mogo, and by extension, Imperishable Night. Thank you guys for watching and supporting, and more thank yous to the people for the replays being used in this portion of Touhou Project 101. Rock for stages 1, 4A, and 5, Dodgeball for 4B and this one, and Kanako VOWG for both stage 6s. I hope to see you in the next installment, where I hope said next installment is actually what I say it's going to be, Immaterial and Missing Power. Watch it be Phantasmagoria Flower View anyway. Catch you guys next time. You killed Moko 9 times in that fight. 10 if you counted in perishable shooting. Feels bad. Feels bad, man. Ah!